All right. All right. I'll call to order the January 29th, 2024 Caroline County Broadband Advisory Committee meeting. I know it's been 2 months, 3 months since we last spoke. I think it's been, 3 months since we last spoke. So the agenda was emailed out earlier today, and everybody confirm if you can see it, or at least one person confirm that they can see it up on the screen.
Yes, sir. We can see it.
Yep. All right. So the agenda was emailed out. Are there any amendments to the agenda at this point? All right. Hearing no amendments to the agenda, we'll push forward with the agenda that was presented to us, that David emailed out. We've kind of stopped reporting on the minutes from the prior meeting a long time ago, but just to brief everybody, if you want to see or hear anything that went on with the last meeting, all meetings are available on the county's YouTube channel. So you can go back and listen to those all the way back to almost the start of this committee. It was the start of when we actually started broadcasting on YouTube. So you should be able to get back to any of those and hear any differences or change, keep up with everything that's gone on. We will start with old business. David, did you want to give an update on the VATI 2021 and 2023? David, if you're talking, you are on mute.
All right. Is that showing up now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. It has been 3 months. Seems like it's been forever since we all met. But we do have, and it was a good period of time where we suspended those meetings because for about at least 2.5 months of those, we didn't have a lot to report on as the company started gearing up. But I have a feeling we're going to be in high gear from here on out. So I will go ahead and get started with this update to everyone. If you were one of the two lucky people, Mr. Thomas or Jeff Voigt, you've seen already a similar presentation of this that was presented at the last Board of Supervisors meeting. But in order to get the information out to the members of the committee and to the rest of the public, we want to make sure we cover this as many times as possible. So here we go. So back, if you look at our strategic plan, the Broadband Advisory Committee recommended that we use or utilize the VATI funding source to try to expand broadband into the areas of Caroline that did not have service. VATI 2021, we received a grant, and then also in VATI 2023. What we'll do tonight is just bring everybody up to speed on those projects and how they're going. VATI 2021 was a collaborative effort between Caroline County, Matthews, Middlesex, Lancaster County, and Breezeline. So this was a project that was between all those groups. Caroline County's goal was to provide internet availability to 482 homes in Port Royal and Central Caroline, and it was completed in March of 2023. Now, we've had some questions in the past about how did we pick those areas. Those areas were step one of getting the internet in some areas that we could build from in future projects, and that's where we're at now. Currently, there are 243 residents in this project area that are connected to the new internet connection. That's a 50% take rate, and that is well above national average. At this time, ACP, and Jason Jacobus has covered this in the past, a federal assistance program still exists, and all households with Caroline County Public School students are automatically qualified for a $30 credit from a participating internet service provider. You can get more information on this program at www.fcc.gov/ACP. Now, I will say that the funding for ACP is winding down. There's talk that it may be replaced by a state program, but at this time, it still does exist. VETI 2023 was awarded to Caroline County in May of last year. The VETI 2023 will actually fund 2 projects with a goal of expanding internet availability to all remaining unserved areas of Caroline County. This project is actually 2 separate projects. Caroline East with Breezeline as the provider, and Caroline West with Verizon as the provider. Both projects officially started on October 23rd, 2023. Caroline East is a 3-year project that must be completed by October 23rd, 2026. So these projects are going to have a definite end date unless it's extended for a very limited number of reasons that it can be extended. It will serve approximately 3,910 locations that currently do not have internet available. Caroline West is an 18-month project that must be completed by April of next year. This project will extend service availability to approximately 854 unserved locations. Both projects combined will serve all currently unserved areas of the county. Caroline East. So that's everything east of Route 95. The project is currently still in the walkout design phase of the project. It's a very large project with a very involved and complicated plan, so it's taken a bit to get that done. This project also includes the RDOF, the federally funded areas in Sparta and the surrounding areas. The RDOF portion of this project has finished design and engineering. Both design and engineering are complete in that area. On the Caroline East project, monthly reports are now going to DHCD each month ahead of schedule. Currently, we are tracking one area of concern, the railroad crossings. So in the application, Caroline County agreed and the Board of Supervisors agreed to establish these railroad crossings as part of the project. We've gone out to RFP twice and had no responses from contractors to actually construct those crossings under the railroad tracks. However, we are still working through this and have yet to land on a contractor. We have a couple more individual contractors to speak with. The estimated time to completion is 6 to 9 months. Now, our goal was to get these railroad crossings in place before March of this year when construction actually needed to start on the projects. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So right now, there is a possibility that the delay in getting those railroad crossings may affect the order in which internet is constructed east of 95. However, do know that we are working diligently to try to come up with that contractor to be able to get those crossings constructed. Caroline West, the provider is Verizon, is still also currently in design and engineering, as well as fiber installation phase. 95% of that project is designed. 19 of 43 permits applied for from VDOT have been awarded. 13,372 feet of transport fiber has been placed along Jericho Road, Ladysmith Road, and County Line Church Roads. No areas of concern have been identified to the state in this project at this time. However, permit delays from VDOT continue to be a concern in this project, and we will continue to monitor this item. 2 monthly reports have been submitted to DHCD ahead of schedule. The The Broadband Advisory Committee would like to thank the Caroline County Board of Supervisors and the citizens of Caroline County for their continued and relentless support of these broadband expansion efforts. We would also like to remind citizens that for the most up-to-date and accurate information on these efforts, feel free to join us at these meetings streamed via the Caroline County official YouTube channel. Check the county website or send us a broadband inquiry. We still continue to see misinformation or inaccurate information via the social media channels, so we encourage citizens to make sure that they tune into a reputable source of information. And that completes my presentation, Jason.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or anything about the data that was presented? Okay. I will ask one question, David. With the data that I heard, so the railroad crossings, we are still in the process of trying to find a contractor that will do it?
Yes, that is correct. The design and engineering and surveying of those crossings is complete. The applications were submitted to CSX. We received those back in September or October from CSX, so we have the permits in hand. Once we identify a contractor that's willing to construct these crossings for us, at that point, they reach out to CSX to arrange flagging. So the construction itself may not take 6 to 9 months, but what we're hearing from other broadband projects across the state is that from the time the contractor contacts CSX, they could expect a 6 to 9 month delay. So we're hoping to nail down that contractor so they can reach out, get on the waiting list, and we can get these crossings constructed. And then speaking with Breeze Line, it's not going to affect the end date of the project, but we have identified these to DHCD as an area of concern. But what it is affecting, like I said earlier, was it's going to affect what areas get constructed first. So we continue to monitor this and trying to work through it as quickly as possible.
Okay. Who would have thought getting under or over a railroad track would take this much? I never knew that in all my years. So
it seems like it's been a couple of years now, hasn't it?
It has. We've been.
I guess after the East Palestine, Ohio train accident, they're not playing lightly. But there was also legislation in the General Assembly 2023 session about the time to engage with engineers, but I guess it's not being enforced, but we seem to have a different problem. But hopefully, is there any other mitigations, like going a different direction, or we have to have these railroad crossings?
These are ones we said we had to have.
Yeah, these are really important crossings. If we don't get across these railroad tracks eventually, then yes, it could cause major problems. And as far as the legislation that you mentioned, Jason, there was, I believe, some lawsuits filed from the railroad against against the state. And the last I heard, they actually had received a stay from the court, which prevented that law from going into effect. And if you had an application in that expedited process based on that law, it's now hung up. So we were able to get ours through prior to all that. So we have our applications, we have our permits. So thank goodness we didn't have to rely on that. But we'll have to see how it goes. The other area that we're watching with concern on the Caroline East project, and it's again not an area that we have to report to the state at this point. REC in some of the neighboring jurisdictions and projects is running behind as well on their permits for make ready pole replacement. So we continue to watch that, but at this point, it's not a reportable area of concern.
Okay.
One quick update on the ACP program. Like you said, the funding is winding down. And if you go to the fcc.gov ACP website now, they are saying that enrollment ends February 7th, 2024. So that's 9 days away. So it sounds like this is wrapping up. Even if they do continue it, maybe then they will reopen it, but looks like it's winding down.
Yeah, it just as a point of information for everybody, that ACP program, what is it, $30 per month, Jason?
Yeah.
So that's eligible not only to people who are subscribed to cable internet or fiber internet, but also wireless, some satellite providers. So you can get more information on the FCC. What we're hearing is that the new program that rolled a bunch of money to the states may end up replacing that, but we've yet to hear any more details on that.
All right. No further discussion. All right, David, we'll move on down to old business number 2, which is the discussion of the broadband inquiry form. I know that you had some frequently asked questions that have come in that you wanted to try and touch base on here.
Yep, give me just a second here so I can try to get that going.
Do you need the screen share back?
Yep, I will.
No.
It's a whole lot easier on two when you're on two screens than trying to. All right. Can everybody see that screen?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So a larger than usual part of my job now each week is answering questions on the broadband inquiry form that's on the county website. Over the past few weeks, we've started to see as many as 10 to 15 inquiries per week. And I expect that this will go up even higher as we start seeing construction in other areas just based on the questions that we've got. So what we felt would be a good idea is to cover those, at least a few of the frequently asked questions at the meeting, just to get the information out, because these are questions that the citizens are coming up with. Let me start by saying that we appreciate the citizens using that inquiry form. It's definitely the best way to communicate with us, and it allows us to find out what people need to know. So I encourage you to continue to use those. The more, the better. And we will continue to try to get back to citizens as quickly as we can when we get those inquiries in. So the first of the frequently asked questions is, I see a lot of construction along Jericho Road. Is this the VADI project? The answer to that is yes. I've gone down and ridden that project several times now. There's a tremendous amount of vehicles and lane closures and fiber being constructed along Jericho Road. And we're being told by Verizon that it's definitely the VADI project and that they are working on that area. So if you see construction along Jericho Road, again, Ladysmith Road, County Line Church Road, Cedon Road, there's several other smaller roads that they use to feed those areas. There's a good chance that it is the VADI project. The next question that we see quite a bit is my house going to be served by these projects that are going on? So when we get an email in from the broadband inquiry form, one of the required fields that you're required to enter in that form when you submit it is your address. So the first thing I do is I will pull up the spreadsheet, the official spreadsheet from both project areas and verify that the address is actually in that form to be served. So it's definitely a good thing to submit those inquiries so that we can continue to check those addresses. Once I determine if it is listed, then the next thing by doing that, we also identify which provider. So I'll send an email back letting you know which provider is going to be serving your area. The other thing that allows us to do is identify houses, new construction houses that have actually popped up from the time that this project was started planning. The address list was gathered. For example, along County Line Church Road and along CCC Road, we've already identified about 4 or 5 houses that did not exist when the application was submitted. So it's always a good idea. Do the form, give us your address, and let us verify. The good thing is that the new houses that are popping up now are in areas that can be served by Verizon once that project is completed. And the same, if the project is in the east area. So if there's any question about whether you're going to get internet, I would definitely suggest that you submit that form. The bottom line is that both projects combined will serve all of the unserved areas. So even if a house pops up in those areas after the project is completed, they will still have internet in the area. So we just want to verify, make sure that the information that we're working with is accurate. So the more addresses that we get to check, the better. The next question, when will I know that it's time to order internet for the new service? So both projects are starting up. Verizon, again, is building in those areas, but what they're doing is that's transport fiber along County Line Church Road, Ladysmith Road, and Jericho Road. They still have to build that entire network back to the head end and also complete the construction in the head end of the equipment. So in the Verizon project, all of the internet connections will be powered from a unit in the main CO right there on Ladysmith Road. So there's a lot of work that has to be done in there, and it's work that's going to take time. So even when the fiber's completed, if the head end's not complete, there still won't be available customers to be turned on. However, what we're being told by both projects and what we've seen in their plans is as they finish an area and once the area is available to be turned on, so the head end's complete, all the transport fiber is complete, and they're in your neighborhood, you will receive door hangers from either Verizon or from BreezeLine letting you know that internet is available and you can call to place an order. I would caution, and this is one area where we're seeing some misinformation on social media, is if you call now and you're not, you're in these project areas and you call Verizon or you call BreezeLine, the salespeople that you speak with will not have your address, and it will end up being a very frustrating conversation, probably for the both of you. So again, watch the website, watch these meetings, watch for door hangers, but right now would be a little bit premature to call. So we will make sure we're working with both providers to get that information out when that time comes.
Hey, David, as a technical curiosity, the fiber running down Jericho Road is connected to Verizon where?
It will connect back. Now, I haven't seen actual drawings, but just based on the way they're constructing it, I would assume that it's going to connect back to Verizon, probably along Ladysmith Road, back to the CO right there by the school.
Okay.
So go through the Charlesburg area.
All right, that makes sense to where they are already. Okay.
Yes. And so the next question that we'll speak to tonight is internet available to me? Again, if you do that inquiry with your address and submit it, we can find out whether you're in the Verizon area or the Breeze Line area. But the other thing that we've already seen a few times is we've actually identified people that were already being served or already had service available to them. They were not aware that they had the service available to them. And so we were able to connect them with the salespeople of the appropriate company and get them internet. So it's always a good idea to put that address in and ask your question, and we will we read every single one of them and respond as quickly as we can. And just again, we really want to thank the public for staying engaged in these projects. It's really important. I know when we started this process, the application went in, in August of 22. It seems like it's been forever. Stay engaged because we're now in that time frame for both projects to be completed. When you hear about Verizon being done next year, time is moving quickly. So the projects will be completed even 3 years. Just know that, on the Breeze Line side, it is a 3-year project. That clock started in October. So we're already, into that. And it's my understanding that both projects will be well under construction by March. So here we are, February. So next month, there should be construction going on everywhere. So just stay engaged, reach out if you need information, watch these meetings on the internet, and we will do our best to keep the information out there to everyone. Thank you, Jason.
All right. Any questions on that? Anybody have anything they want to follow up on with that?
So that was a pretty cool looking smart bike, though.
Yeah, I'm getting out to the Starlink because I'm up next. All right, let me share out that browser. My window will cooperate. No, it's not allowing me to share. There we go. Try that one. There we go.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So no questions on that. We will jump down to number 3, which is Starlink. Again, this, as of right now, is one of the best options for broadband as far as like a stopgap in Caroline County. I have actually personally worked with several people over the past couple months, get Starlink installed at their house, get things up and running. Several of the people have been able to work from at home now, where they were running off of hotspots around their house, whether it be off their phone or permanent hotspots, and they just were not getting the throughput or bandwidth in order to be able to do the work. I was actually talking to Mr. Jacobus today, and Jason, do you want to say what your number was that you ran this morning and got?
Yeah, just it was 345 over 15. It was very fast. So fast, cheap, and good. Pick 2, and Starlink is fast and good, so it's not cheap, right?
Yes. So that was, that is not the norm to get over 300 megs. But just before this meeting, I decided to run a speed test on mine, and I was pushing at about 230 over 20. So, which is very good. I have seen an increase over the past several months of speed and both download and upload. My ping time, which is, to describe that a little bit more, is your latency from your computer to communicate with another computer and get back an acknowledgement packet, which basically says, hey, I've gotten it. We now have established a communication between the two. Currently, those are holding about 40 to 50 milliseconds. There was an article that I was reading a couple days ago where Elon Musk is challenging the developers and wants to have that sub 30 seconds, hopefully not 30 seconds, sub 30 milliseconds ping time, which would be a huge decrease in the amount of time that it takes for an acknowledgement, which will continue to speed up. His ultimate plan to do that is to increase the number of satellites that he is putting up, plus increasing the satellite to satellite communications through lasers to find the shortest distance down to the basically the network operations center or the main entryway into the internet that you were being assigned out to. There are a couple new versions of Starlink out there. There's now a Generation 3 dish. There is one that includes motors and one that does not include motors. As you go through the purchasing process, you will find one that is a standard or one that includes the motors. Me personally, I would recommend anybody setting up a Starlink dish to get the one that auto aligns itself. As you can see kind of on the house that is here in the picture. I will see whether I can pull up a one of the other versions out there, because it just sits on the ground. And one of the issues that they're having with that is you have to manually align that dish at your house. I don't see a picture of it right here in front of me, but I will do my best to try and find one here in a second. That one is a little bit, in my opinion, it doesn't allow for the simplicity of installing it on your house. The dish will handle aligning itself and get you on the internet. You have to manually go out there and make sure that you're pointing it the right direction. There is an alignment tool that you can use, but again, it's not as precise as the motorized dish. There's no price difference. There's no, there's no more, it's a lot more precise if you do it through GPS and the dish aligns itself. You'll have the fastest internet possible over Starlink. With the current map, as we said last time, and this is one thing I wanted to show, United States is still light blue across the board, which means it is readily available to order at any given point in time. So if anybody in Caroline County wants to order Starlink internet, it is readily available. You just punch in your address. I can say that there was one order just before Christmas in the area down here in Frog Level, and the gentleman or the family placed their order, I believe it was on Sunday, and by Thursday or Friday, they had the dish in hand. So they are shipping them out as fast as they can. And the shipping is very fast to get it out there and get you up and online. The person that actually took the dish did a temporary install and sat it in their backyard. And within about 20 minutes, they were up and on the internet faster than they were using their hotspot that they had at their house. Again, the Broadband Committee, basically is bringing this out to the community just to know that this is a stopgap. It is not the end-all be-all solution, but it is definitely a stopgap to be able to have broadband, be able to work from at home, do telehealth, things like that from your house. So that's kind of my update on Starlink at this point in time. Does anybody have any questions?
Just a couple of comments there, Jason. The Broadband Committee is, not in, we're not getting any compensation for promoting Starlink. We're not promoting Starlink over any other solution that works as well as it does. The Starlink was discussed, tested thoroughly, and this committee recommends it as a stopgap, like Jason had said. Even in an address, they call them on all hands on deck address from Elon Musk. He acknowledged that it wasn't really intended to compete head to head with either cable or fiber providers. Their main goal is to serve the unserved people with internet. So that was really encouraging to see that. And it aligns perfectly with our strategic plan, where Starlink is recommended to be a temporary solution due to the cost. $5.99 is relatively cheap compared to what we've seen other satellite solutions in the past cost, and also lacks a long-term service contract. So if you're in a situation where, for example, your job just changed, or you just built a house in an area that doesn't have internet, this can be a 6-month solution. You're not under a 2 or 3 year contract with a huge disconnection fee, or early termination fee, as they call it. So it is a workable solution. And again, this committee remains open to any other solutions. We would be glad to evaluate them and place them in our list of recommendations as far as what we recommend for temporary internet until fiber or cable comes along.
Anybody else have any other comments or? All right, hearing, I guess, we've already talked about the agenda, but just in case anybody's come up with anything in old business, does anybody have any old business that they remembered or they want to add real quick? All right, hearing none, we'll move on into new business, which is the discussion of the meeting schedule at this point in time.
So, Jason, at the last meeting that we had before our break, we had decided to go to quarterly meetings because at that point, there wasn't a lot happening. That's not the case anymore. And from here on out, it's going to get really busy. So I would suggest that we consider one of two options. Because there's not a lot of business that actually has to be conducted by this committee, since we kind of lined up the direction it's going in, and the contractors have been selected and the work is started, we could consider maybe going to continuing on with the quarterly business meetings and have a monthly meeting in between each of those. So we meet every month, and everyone's welcome to attend if they need to. And those monthly meetings would be just to provide an update to the public and to the committee members as to where we're at. But it would be a little less, since we know that we're not going to actually be conducting any business or voting on anything, you have the option of either attending or viewing it online. But it would be, Jason and I talked about, just more or less just an informational, almost like a webinar to bring the public up to speed. But I do think at this point in the project, just based on the number of questions that we're getting, that it's going to be important for us to stay engaged with the public. And I think we could probably do that better if we're meeting monthly as a business meeting, or at least just going monthly with a webinar to try to update the public. So I would just throw that out there. Otherwise, based on the vote that we had last time, our next meeting would be 3 months from today, or 3 months from our normal meeting day. And we do apologize for the meeting being delayed this time. We had a holiday fall in there. Hopefully everybody had a good holiday. Then the following week, we actually had a conflict with YouTube because they won't allow us to upload but one live stream at a time. So that's the reason why we ended up postponing it to this week. So what are your thoughts, Jason, and Mr. Beal, Stephen?
Could I add an idea while they think of theirs?
Mr. Street? Yes, sir.
You could maybe do the quarterly meetings of the whole committee, and then every month, not necessarily a live stream, but a live stream if that's what people get used to, give kind of an update for YouTube. And then you post that out there on YouTube, like in February, we say, this is where we are, really repost the schedule and just say, Vatty Grant schedule. And then people could go to YouTube and see it. And then on the other times, we could do maybe a broadband town hall. That's kind of, aggressive, but if we manage it, we can have people ask questions and those questions would be saved. Just my thoughts, stick to quarterly and then we can add more informational meetings in the other months.
So that's kind of where we had discussed it, Mr. Thomas, is where we'd actually have a quarterly business meeting and then informational meetings in between. And the best way for us to get that out there is just a couple of us get together. We'll go through a discussion similar to what we had tonight, bring everybody up to speed, let them know where the construction's going on, let them know the challenges that we're facing. And just try to keep everybody engaged. And if we did that, a few of us together or everybody, is more than welcome to join in, and also stream those live with the recording also being up on the internet. I think that remains the best way. I was surprised while we don't get a lot of viewers on the monthly meetings that we've had in the past. We do get a few. And when we went to quarterly meetings, one of the more frequently asked questions to the broadband inquiry form was, hey, what happened to y'all's meetings you were having? So apparently some people are watching them. So we definitely want to continue that. We don't want the public to think that we're backing down, because if anything, we're grabbing gears and full steam ahead at this point. So it's exciting. I can't tell you how many times I've told the people in the broadband inquiry forms when I respond back to them that they're excited, but I bet I'm probably more excited than they are, believe it or not, because it's an exciting time for us. The project's going well. Both projects overall are ahead of schedule. So we're right now on schedule to have this thing finished either on time or early.
That is an amazing thing, David, and I'm just as excited because I remember the first time I tried to work from home, I had to use a modem, and the whatever it was, Bell Atlantic South or whatever, was so far behind, I couldn't use tone dialing. I had to use pulse dialing to connect.
Yep,
that's like that's the rotary phone. Not quite that long, but 35 years.
Mr. Beal, when we were talking about the satellite dish options from Starlink, Mr. Beal can probably remember a time when he's actually had to manually point some dishes to satellites in space. So
he had BealNet.
Yeah. Go ahead, Frank.
Well, nothing to really say. Most of the satellite positioning stuff I did was with the old C-band stuff, and then later on with some other smaller satellite dishes. It's not that hard, but it is for the average homeowner. It would be probably a daunting task.
So that's
how many people did you have on BealNet, Bill? Mr. Beal?
Well, that was not anything satellite based, but at one point in time we had several thousand subscribers.
That was like Caroline's first journey into the internet.
Yes.
If you guys can remember back when the internet, most of it was billboard type internet. There was very few graphical websites, but if you wanted to get on there and look at those, like your AOL or some of those pages, you ended up having to dial long distance outside the county until Mr. Beal came along. So he ushered us into so all this internet stuff is Mr. Beal's fault. I think he invented the internet.
Mr. Beal, what was the most concurrent users you had at one time?
Yeah. Say that again, I'm sorry.
What was the most concurrent users BealNet had?
About around 2,000.
Wow.
But I was also told when I first started it would never catch on. So here we are.
This will never work. I remember that.
Yes.
And then some of us can remember the time when we went from straight dial up to dialing into Mr. Beal and having the traffic returned to us through satellite. And that actually worked better than some of the HughesNet stuff that's out there now.
Wow.
So where are we at, guys? Do y'all want to do somebody want to make a motion that we have the business meetings quarterly and that we could meet on our regularly scheduled monthly, at least for just a discussion, more or less a webinar, just bringing people up to speed? Is that the direction we want to go in?
I'm going to make that motion if it's allowed.
Definitely allowed.
Yep. And I would second that motion.
Yes.
Any discussion on it that we haven't already had?
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Only discussion I would have is that gives us kind of the freedom of, if it's a month that we're not having a business meeting and you're out on the road, feel free to join in on your phone and listen in. Join us. All broadband advisory members will be welcome to join at every meeting and be invited. But just don't feel maybe as obligated to. And we will make sure that you're aware when any kind of votes come up. And then also, we do have to start thinking ahead of time about at least some in-person meetings. So maybe we go eventually, the quarterly meetings may try to throw a few in-person meetings in there as well. Question?
You're in the lead.
DD for 2000.
Each July 1st until 1982.
Question real quick, David. The next meeting would be on the 19th, which is President's Day. I don't think that poses a big issue. Do you want to have the meeting on the 19th?
How do you feel about that, Mr. Thomas? I mean, I'm available that day. We can meet. And if we follow the schedule that we're considering now, that would just be an informational meeting. I'm good with that.
I was just thinking, do you want to start the precedent of us meeting on holidays and things of that nature?
What is the following week, Jason?
The 26th, and I will be unavailable.
What about the week before?
The 12th, I can do that day.
And what is the 12th?
Monday.
No, it's Lincoln's actual birthday.
Oh.
Yeah, we all forget all these things.
It doesn't actually have a holiday on it, so.
Yeah, neither does the 22nd.
I don't work in a bank, so I'm good. I don't get any of these days.
Well, let's go with the 12th. I think that's better, and we're going to advertise anyhow, right?
Yes, we will. So, and with the amount of progress that's going forward now, I think sooner is better than later.
Yeah, it's good. Even if it's a repeat of your status for this meeting, that's worthwhile for folks who follow up with YouTube later.
And just so everyone knows, as part of my job, I meet with both of these providers once a week or more. So the numbers are changing. Once we go to the monthly meeting, the numbers will start to move forward. So that's why I think it's important for us to get those numbers out there every month.
All right. So real quick, David, if you can put this, so it'd be February 12th. Is the streaming available on that day?
Is the board meeting the 13th? No, the board meeting before that.
Okay. And then the next one would be March 18th.
Jeff, are you sure the 12th is going to be okay with you? Because the Board of Supervisors meets the 13th. Oh, okay. I thought the live stream was last week. Never mind. Oh, that's what it was, right? Okay, never mind.
So March 18th, are we good with that too? The only reason I'm calling this out is because the 12th and the 18th will be kind of informational ones, and then we'll go ahead and schedule our this meeting again, because there won't be any business done with inside of those in between informational meetings.
Yes, sir. So just as a point of information, be thinking about we missed the county fair and the harvest festival, as well as the frog level parade this year, with a full team. So we'll work on getting those dates out to everyone to check for your availability. But I think it's going to be really important with the projects kicking up that we try to have a presence at as much of those as we can this year. And if we remember back the application process, we agreed to try to help promote the projects at those type of events. So keep it in the back of your mind, if you're available to come out for a couple hours and hang out and answer questions to the public, we would appreciate it.
Okay. And last but not least, April 15th, which is tax day, will be our normal meeting like this. Do we want that to be in person or still a Zoom?
My thoughts are, Jason, we would probably be okay to still go Zoom at this point.
Okay.
By the time we get to the following meeting, or from there on out, I think you're going to see enough construction in the area where it may be better to actually try to squeeze in an in-person meeting at that point. The main thing is we want the public to know that we're trying to be open, and forthcoming with the public about these projects, and just keep them informed.
That works. So we have our 3 dates. We have February 12th, which is in 2 weeks. We have March 18th. And then our next big meeting like this will be on April 15th, which is tax day. So is everybody okay with those dates based on the information that we have?
Yeah, they work for me.
Okay. So
and just know that you probably will not, you will get an invite for the meetings that are between the business meetings, but we probably won't be sending out an agenda. It'll be more or less just a discussion, and we'll probably do a lot of what we did tonight, updating on the progress of the projects, as well as frequently asked questions, that kind of stuff.
All right, so we got one more piece of business, which is we need to vote and make sure everybody's okay with the changes in the meeting that we've laid out, with the dates that we've laid out. So all in favor of switching to informational meetings, 2 of those in between a quarterly status update like this regular meeting, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All right. I think that wraps it up at this point, unless somebody has anything else that they want to discuss.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for attending.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.